You would dare to say you love me. One week and then you load your jet and go. It's time I'm moving. I don't mean to kill the mood, but might I remind us again? Didn't know your name a month ago. We make small talk.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Harmonious World. My name is Hilary Seabrook, and for this episode I am delighted to be joined by Jensen from Countermeasure, and I've spoken to him before. All the links are in the show notes to our previous conversation. What you are listening to right now is What's the Rush from Countermeasure's new album, Guest Sessions Volume 2. And I'm really looking forward to chatting with Aaron about it. Hey.
How are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks, Aaron. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Well, it's good to talk to you again. The first time was a couple of years ago.
Great. Yeah. Orchestral sessions.
Exactly. Absolutely. So this is a very different beast.
It is. It is indeed.
And I'm really looking forward to talking to you more about it. So it's called Guest Sessions Volume 2 for a very good reason, because there's some amazing guests on this album.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you want to start by giving us a quick introduction to Countermeasure, because anybody who hasn't heard our previous conversation won't know who you are, and then we can talk about the album.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So Countermeasure is a 12-voice ensemble based out of Toronto, Canada. We have been around for 16 years. We have toured all around the world. This is our 5th recording that we've worked on together, and we really pride ourselves on performing almost exclusively original materials and get really excited about collaboration, which this project is all about.
Yeah, brilliant. And it really is. I mean, the list of people you've got on this guest sessions is really quite spectacular, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is all tracks that you've written.
That's correct. Yep.
Right. So when did you write them?
They range. Some of the pieces have actually been in our repertoire for some number of years. Never Been Better, which we performed with Leo P. I think we first performed that as a solely a cappella piece 6-7 years ago, maybe. Whereas other pieces were developed in the studio as part of this project within the last year.
Ah, right. So some are specifically for this album.
Most are. Yes,
right,
most of them are. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So do you want to run through who some of the guests are that you've got?
Yeah, there's a huge range. So on the pop end of the spectrum, we've got Clyde Lawrence on keys, who people will know from the band Lawrence. Leo P, who you know from Too Many Zoos or his collaborations with Beyonce. Braylon Lacey, who I grew up listening to, playing with Erykah Badu. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we've got Saskia Tompkins on nickel harpa, which is a 14th century Swedish instrument. Gorkum Sen, a Turkish composer performer who plays the instrument that he created himself called the Yebahar, which you may not know as an instrument, but you've almost certainly heard it on Hans Zimmer or Max Richter albums. On the more classical end of things, we worked with Angela Schwartzkopf, who won the 2020 Juno Award for Best Classical Album. Dylan Hart, French horn player from the States. So it's really quite a range of sounds and genres and instruments.
Yeah, and indeed, this album takes us everywhere, doesn't it? It takes us all over the place in terms of the genre.
Absolutely. It was my intention to, like with the past album, so this is volume 2 of guest sessions. So there has been a volume 1, which was the same concept of taking 10 pieces of original music and tailor making them to the guest instrumentalist. So really trying to play to the not only just the sound and the aesthetics of the artist, but also their collaboration process. So in some cases there were co-writes, in other cases there was improvisation in the studio. And then also taking that and mapping that onto the singers within the group, who in many cases I've been working with for 16 years. So I'm writing for very specific voices and also writing lyrics that are in many cases inspired by real life shared experiences or major life events within the lives of the members of the group.
Yeah. And it does feel like it's a very much a Countermeasure album. It does feel like it's, from you and from your colleagues in the ensemble.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So one of the pieces that I really liked was Give Up.
Oh, yes.
So this has got Anne Fung, is it, on flute?
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. So before we start, I'm going to play a little clip of that.
Great.
Met a girl on the midnight train, dressed in yesterday's best intentions. Missed her stop and she missed my name. Barking dog more like bark inventions.
Time plays funny tricks, she said. It's a short walk from spinning to severing the thread. I sing like a jackdaw, I bite like a hacksaw. I learned to live a plain existence when I'm dead. Give up on pretenders who take you for a ride. Give up on the clutter you buy to fill the hole inside. Give up on the worry that's weighing down your mind. Find out what feeds you, leave the rest behind.
Ask me why I feel twice my age. Tore a page out of Dorian Gray. Bust your hump for a 2-bit wage. It doesn't sound half bad, it's all the way.
Time plays funny tricks, she said. It's a short walk.
So did you write that specifically for that soloist?
I did. I wrote this piece with flute in mind and with Anne in mind specifically. And as is the case with many of the guests who are on this album, one of the members of the group has come forward and saying, like, this is the artist that I'm really excited about. And one of our group members had just seen her live, and I looked her up and was completely blown away by her virtuosity and musicianship.
Yeah, it's a lovely, lovely track, and she just performs it brilliantly.
Well, and there's something kind of something that pleases me about a piece that is an inspirational tune called Give Up. So
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing that I'm interested in is when you perform live, you obviously won't have all of these guests. So
That's
how
correct.
are you planning to incorporate some of these tracks into your performances?
We already have, I believe, 7 out of 10 of the songs in our regular repertoire. And so in some cases, that means the singers themselves occupying the roles that would have been played by the instruments. In other cases, the arrangement has shifted quite a bit just to be voices alone. In some cases, the song started off as an original piece. Into the Air, the song for just the treble voices of the group with nickel harpa, was just a vocal piece. And so if anything, the challenge was taking a song that was quite complete and then layering in another instrument in a way that felt meaningful.
Yeah. So I guess when people come to your concerts, they will experience the music and then they can take the album away and hear it in a slightly different context.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is actually quite often true anyway, because quite often it's not the same musicians playing on a gig that are on the album, just in a normal sort of quartet or quintet.
Well, and there's almost a sleight of hand trick that if we're playing for audiences who know an album, they're filling in the blanks in their minds. If they know a recording very well and we perform it, they're hearing some of the layers that we're not even necessarily performing live.
Right. Absolutely. So There's a lot of award winning going on, isn't there, with these guests? I mean, these
There
are
is. Yes, indeed.
so are you hoping that some of that will rub off on Countermeasure, that this, because it sounds to me like a contender for some of these awards?
Well, you know what? Obviously, we wouldn't say no. It's always nice to get recognition, but to be honest, the process of creating this album has been such a joy. It has been such a beautiful experience, a beautiful collaborative experience that for me, what is most rewarding is the process itself. And so being able to spend that time, like the fellow who mixed the album is one of my dearest friends, Kai Kochmeter, and we've been making records together for 18 years. And so it's just like this major family experience. And so if anything comes of it beyond people just listening to it and hopefully enjoying it, then that's great. But I already feel very satisfied with the reception and the product that we have in hand.
That's brilliant. And I think actually that producing music for the sake of producing music rather than for any sort of award is much better than sort of aiming for that.
Right.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a real pleasure chatting with you about this album. It's a lovely, lovely album, and I'm going to recommend people check it out.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time.
One more spin.
Thank you for joining me for that episode of Harmonious World. And you definitely have to check out my August 2024 episode with Aaron Jensen to get a full sense of what Countermeasure is all about. But they're an amazing group of 12 vocalists who are really skilled at what they do. What you're listening to now is One More Spin, and that includes Braylon Lacey. And Braylon is somebody you may have heard playing bass with Erykah Badu, who, this is at the top of the field. But thank you for joining me for Harmonious World, and I hope you have a very, very good week.
The streetway slows and the storefronts close down. Yeah, your body knows it best unwind. Here's a break from the screen, a relief from the gray routine. A change of scenery could ease your mind.
Thank you for listening to the latest episode of Harmonious World. My name is Hilary Seabrook, and it's a great delight to bring this series of discussions with musicians and composers and writers and all sorts of people to you. Obviously, there's no point in having a podcast if people aren't listening, and I'm very grateful to my listeners for doing so. Thanks also to Joe English for composing and performing this new theme tune. So wherever you get your podcast, you can leave a review. You can share this with your friends and family, either as a link or on social media and that sort of thing. I'd be really grateful for that. Don't forget that you can subscribe now. There's a link wherever you get your podcasts. So have a great week, and please remember why I started this, which is just to try and make the world a little more harmonious. Thanks for listening to Harmonious World.